Do. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Andrew's podcast. I know I said 8:30. I meant to say ish. I forgot to put the ish on there. Y'all know how that go. But oh boy, let me get this thing shared out here. Listen, very, very important show tonight. Please, like I said earlier, if you know any student athletes, parents of student athletes, and we're not just talking high school kids, we're talking any kids at any level in youth sports. You want to be watching this podcast tonight. This is going to be some information that you must hear. Right. Let me get this thing shared out here real fast. But before I do that, let me go ahead and bring up my Tuesday night partner here, the mayor of Andrews, South Carolina, Mayor Frank McClary. How are you, sir?
Hey, greetings, sir. How we doing out there?
I'm doing pretty good. Let me get this thing here shared out. How's your week been over there in the Big A?
It's been busy. We're still trying to figure out this. How do we get some attention on this? Flood mitigation, and still collecting that data so we can get that out to the right folks. To begin to answer some of these questions. So it's kept us pretty busy, along with standard, repairs and that kind of business. So it's all not as stressful as it has been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I said it probably will get that way tomorrow.
I mean, that's the struggle continues. You know how it goes. The struggle continues.
It's all a part of the plan.
Yeah. But I mean, hey, listen, we're getting very close to the kickoff of Friday Night Football. I think the team's supposed to be out tonight. Did they have a scrimmage tonight?
I'm not sure. I didn't. I caught the last one they had. They would have had the three teams. I think it was. I know it was Kingstree and Johnsonville, I believe. They were out with a three-way scrimmage. Worked out well. Saw some of the star athletes from that's returning. We got about 2, 4, 6, 7. I think about 7 returning seniors. And of course, that the big class, the big dominant class, or the sophomores, or the juniors.
What are the juniors now? Yeah.
Yeah, the juniors now, with Davion. I think Brandon Cumbie is a senior, but we have I think a really good team that's coming back here. So I exchanged some text messages today with the coach. Coach was asking me whether I was going to come back to, to be the voice. I'm like, of course. Yep. I'm not going anywhere, so I'll get to do that again, and that's a privilege to be the voice of the Yellow Jackets. And I also asked him, you and I talked about hosting one of the pregame
dinners. I said the 82, the class of 82. Anyway, shout out to class of 82. They made the show last week. I'm gonna go ahead and give it up to y'all. Y'all came through. Y'all did your thing. I got to give it up to you.
I told you, man. That's the heart of AHS. Class 82. Yep.
So, but what the mayor was talking about is they put out a list asking for volunteers to take care of the team pregame meal, and so we got our name in the hat. And actually, the coach reached out to me because I know he had a busy week with scrimmages and everything like that, and he said he's going to get back to me on it and get us in there. So look forward to doing that.
Yeah, he gave us a few dates. We just got to get it locked in. I sent him an email back here recently asking any, the type food or whatever, and if there's any allergy, all those specific things. And I also have the roster, and I'm holding my hold on that because I'm not sure how that's going to change, if it's going to change. But again, pretty excited about this season coming up with the returning players and some of those outstanding players that are coming up from the junior varsity. So it's going to be big. As you know, the conference has adjusted a little bit. We have more teams from the Berkeley, Dorchester area. And I want folks to pay attention to that homecoming is the last game of the season, which is November the 1st. And as we've done in the last couple of years, we've connected the Heritage Festival. So it's going to be a really, really busy weekend, with Thursday the 31st being the Halloween trick-or-treat in the street. We got to work some things out with that. And Saturday we have the festival. Well, actually, on Friday, the homecoming parade, homecoming game. The next day, we also right now trying to deconflict the festival, and the Veterans Parade all on the same day. So a lot going on, and so we just had our initial meeting today, just to kind of deconflict those things and put some things in place. So
if you know, because the question was asked and I wasn't able to answer it, what is the cost of the what is the cost of the vendor fee?
I would, and I don't know if it changed every year, but I would have to get with the committee, and I may, if any of the staff that's on here would help us out.
Okay.
But if they go back to the website is still active, I believe. So they go back and take a look at that, and it's going to be either the same thing or something in that, and not much more.
Absolutely.
I see Mr. Elliot Milton is on, and Milton, and great guy. He's a big friend of Andrew's who donate all those free cars.
That's the car man.
and barbecue. So he
had a barbecue man, Village Barbecue.
Hey, that's the guy. He give you a ride to his place for you to buy some barbecue.
That's what's up.
Can you beat that? A free car, come get some barbecue, and then I mean, it's just a great deal all the way around. But big shout outs to Mr. Elliott.
Good dude, man. Good dude. Yeah. Listen, also I seen you hitting the gym there pretty hard. Anytime Fitness, and you there anytime too. It's like the middle of the night, like.
Hey, you got to get it when you can get it, man.
I like the concept. I said, man, that didn't, because I could use that kind of like late night, you know what I mean, and then just work out. Yeah. The
facility is great. I mean, according to the owner, this is of his facilities in this county. That is the best one. I mean, anything you want to do in there. I'm not sure if they've started their aerobics classes yet, but that's coming soon. And so yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome, man. For a schedule like mine, my sleep habits, whenever I can get in there is a good thing. All right, Mr. McLean. Yeah, so it's happening.
So and just kind of jumping back onto the football, because I didn't get a look at just the first glance. How did the guys perform in the time that you see them perform?
And again, I've only seen one scrimmage, and then the way of course the coach is checking out all of his players, and so I don't know who is the starting line, but I would tell you the guys like Stewart, Davion, Mr. Brandon Cumbie, AJ Lee, guys like that. Who's the other young man we got here?
Khalil
Bobby Jordan, Aiden Cooper,
Kobe
Sanders, Sean Scott, those guys, Curtis Anderson. It's again, I said Chris Stewart, but I'm gonna have to say his name twice because he's such a dominant defensive end. But those guys were playing hard in that scrimmage, and so I'm excited. And we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that kind of effort and the depth on the bench to deal with some of these larger schools.
Riley, I hope Riley don't go too hard too fast. Riley
Jordan.
He's coming back from a major knee surgery last year.
Oh yeah, I mean that's something we got. Yeah, the injuries and that concerns me because the homecoming game is the last one. Everybody wants to win homecoming. Unfortunately, I was at the end of the season, and that's where they're either nursing these injuries or some of the late injuries leading into potential playoff games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little concerning, but I'm sure again the coach will manage that well and have the guys ready to go.
Yeah, because we're in a different conference, and again, those guys performed well against Philip Simmons last year. That was the first game of the year, which is they just flopped it over the first game to the last game. Yeah, it was the first game of the year because they went there. Then we went to Georgetown, and
for some reason I can't remember much of. I was at that game. I can't remember much of the year, but you were there before I was. I think you and Mark came down.
Yeah, it's a nice facility. Relatively new school.
Mm-hmm.
Had the ambulance on deck. Which is and I don't want to be the negative Nancy, but I'm going to be serious. Like this is going into this new season. Given what has been talked about the lack of athletic trainers in Georgetown County, tonight's show is right in line with You know, because last year we had a major injury right at the end of the season to our quarterback that had me scared, had everybody else scared. You know, because we didn't have you know, we had people on hand, but we didn't have emergency vehicles and you know, if you've been watching me or listen to this show or Real Talk Tuesday for any length of time, you know the ambulance situation is something that I'm always going to be screaming about until it's rectified.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I was talking to had a meeting today, and a young lady, we were talking about the ambulance or the lack thereof in and around our area, and for whatever reason, they're not where they need to be, in my opinion, in a timely fashion. And I recall that incident. I mean, it was just, you know, player was hit, took a few steps, and then went into a violent shake, and then collapsed again. And so we didn't know what was going on. He was down for, you know, a considerable amount of time. But again, no ambulance present. We did have a trainer that went out, obviously responded. But something like that, you know, you would want to have something on site. And for whatever reason, things have changed. You know, I know it's been four decades since we played, but there was always an ambulance on site. And so, you know, and not just for broken bones, those things, but when you start having these head injuries, things are not like it was when we were back in the day. They say, okay, you just got his bell rung, you got stung. Now, these now concussions, and I think one of the things we're going to talk about that I've recently got involved with this organization is called NOLA, and that kind of focuses on this sudden cardiac arrest that's happening, and nobody's talking about it, but it's happening all over the world. We don't talk about it, but it's a sudden cardiac arrest. And what I learned in a short period of time regarding those kind of conditions that just take your life, and that it's really scary. And so we talk about, you know, what are the questions? Do we have the AEDs in the school and around the school, and enough of them, and enough people who are aware of it that can respond to an incident like this? Because you don't have a whole lot of time once these things affect your body. So what are we doing in our schools, across the schools, you know, to make sure that we are prepared to respond to a situation like this? And so it's concerning. You just don't really see it coming, you know, even with, you know, a good friend of mine, very close friend of mine, that's relative of yours, you know, had a heart condition, that wasn't aware of the severity of the heart condition for a long time. Played football. We played football together. And late in his life in the 50s, found himself in the hospital. And when they went through a series of doctors and ended up going to one of the, you know, I think it was Duke University. I'm not sure.
University.
But, yeah. So you learn then you have a hole of some sort in your heart that could have taken him out like that. But again, the grace of God allow things to happen the way it is, and he's now obviously in real good shape, because he's still here harassing us from time to time. But I would tell you, if what's going on, Ms. Davis. So it's one of those things. I believe, you know, we talk about politics all the time, but we really need to focus on those things that affect our children. And as you said, it's adults as well. But we got to look at how do we protect our kids in these schools and doing these athletic events, to include recreation. We don't know when these things are happening. So I think it's important for us to have that conversation tonight.
Well, we're going to start with this video right here, and then we got a young lady, Dr. Benson, and sitting back in the back room there, waiting to come up. And I want you to talk a little bit about this video that this little presentation that we're about to play, and then I'm gonna have you introduce her.
Okay. Well, I don't know, and she's there in the middle. Number 50 is her son, and she'll talk. You know, she'll tell us her personal story and what led her to establishing this nonprofit organization that will bring awareness, screening awareness, and all those things that again gets us ahead of these conditions to prevent, you know, these things from happening as much as we can. I was introduced to it, you know, in terms of not education wise, last year when I attended her annual function. And when I saw, I think this may be the video, and I saw this video, man, it really brings it home how serious this thing is, and how unprepared we are as a community to deal with it. Now, I'm not going to speak, I can't and won't speak for the school district, but I don't think we can have enough conversations or these type equipment, AEDs, throughout the schools, and here, even here at Town Hall, we do have one here, but I'm not so sure who all's trained on them. But it's something we really need to pay attention to. So go ahead and run the video.
Sudden cardiac arrest is not rare. Over 7,000 youth die each year from sudden cardiac arrest. Over 350,000 people die from sudden cardiac arrest every year, but we don't talk about it.
Before Evelyn died of sudden cardiac arrest, I really knew next to nothing about it.
I never knew anything about sudden cardiac arrest.
I knew nothing about sudden cardiac arrest. I had never heard the term before my son suffered one and died.
I didn't know anything about sudden cardiac arrest, but for my son to pass away from sudden cardiac arrest, yeah, I want to know everything.
OJ never really had any symptoms.
My child looked healthy too.
My child looked healthy too.
They think it's not going to happen to them. But until it does happen to you, that's when it becomes your life.
He had an undetected heart condition, and with no warning, he passed away from sudden cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest is not rare.
Hey there, Dr. Benson. Got you on mute there, young lady.
Well, good, because I almost called you the wrong thing, Colonel. But hi, Mary McClare.
That's okay. I'll answer to it. They both are accurate. Hey, and I know our host is still on here, but real quick, this is Dr. Lakeisha Benson, who is the founder and CEO of the NOLA nonprofit organization, and she'll tell you a little bit about it. But not only that, she is also a councilwoman for the little city, a little bit bigger than Andrews.
Not the little city.
The big city of Seneca up there near Clemson. And obviously we all, through our works and education process, we all met, and I've learned about this horrible situation here that could happen here through her and her organization. And I just recently became a board member for, and because it's that important, it's very scary. My mother passed of a heart attack. She was only 49 years old. And so that is, that brings things home when you see this, but, and I wasn't there when it happened, but it was very sudden. It was unexpected. But at 49 years old, what could we have done in terms of the education and understanding that could have potentially, saved a life along the way? And I just don't know. It's a lot of questions. And so this is an opportunity, I think, for us to have this conversation and listen to your story. And you can tell us a little bit about your story and what you're doing right now through your organization. So again, I want to introduce Dr. Lakeisha Benson to Andrews, the podcast audience. So welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I do think it is very important for us to talk about, especially in rural areas of South Carolina, such as we're both in, right? And so, yeah, we founded the NOLA Network in 2020 after my son, Vari, suffered a sudden cardiac arrest while he was playing basketball. He was in college, so he was 21 years old at the time when he collapsed, and his brother was a senior in high school. And so we really initially focused on college students, and a year after we launched, about 30 minutes from my house, a little girl had a sudden cardiac arrest on the bus. And I thought, why are we, we need to be starting earlier, because she was 13, a middle school student. So when my son, I used to coach track. So I just let y'all, I told you, our friends, I let y'all talk about sports, because I always think that probably only you and I were athletic, but we were a big sports family here in my area, and everybody kind of knew who we were. So I coached track. Both of my kids went to the Junior Olympics in Nebraska. So when they were younger, I was a coach at the time. I ran track. Vari was a three-sport athlete. Corey was a three-sport athlete. By the time he was a senior, Vari had just only played football by that time, but very athletic boys, had a sports physical and a regular physical every year, and there were never any issues, right? And so it was something that I knew that I wasn't prepared for. I think of all the kids whose lives were in my hands when I was coaching, and even I worked at a facility as well, never heard of sudden cardiac arrest. So I thought, why have I never heard of this when it is the number one cause of death on school campuses? So it is not school shootings, or I can't even think of another, or accidents. It's sudden cardiac arrest is the number one cause of death on school campuses. It is also the number one cause of death of student athletes, and never heard of it until my son passed away.
So this is so let me, and I apologize for interrupting. So all of the athletes, that my understanding, are required to have a physical before they're allowed to play. So it's not, I guess it's not in depth enough to detect.
It is not, no. So it is a law. You do have to have a sports physical in the state of South Carolina to play sports. But there is no extensive heart screening in a sports physical. They typically just listen to your chest with a stethoscope, and a stethoscope will only catch about 20% of issues that cause a sudden cardiac arrest. So it's not sufficient to catch these issues that would cause a death, unless it's just so bad that they hear it, but just 20%. So what we do is we provide preventative heart screenings, which are ECGs. Once you hit about 50, you've probably had one or two. And hi, Miss McCormick, Councilwoman McCormick. I saw her pop in and say hello.
I see it pop up.
But yes, or the EKG will catch between 80 and 93% of issues. So it's far more extensive, and it helps to prevent that. My son had what you call hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and it is disproportionately impacts African Americans, and EKG would have caught his condition. And again, he played from the time he was 6 years old and never had an issue.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that in terms of how we look at, and again, this being the number one cause of death, high school athletes. Is there anything that's being done at any level now to require this, the next step of screening prior to?
In some states, but not in South Carolina. So some states may have mandated it. What most of them have done, such as Texas, there's a couple of other states, they require the school district to provide information and to offer screenings, but they don't mandate that you get them. We don't have anything like that at all in South Carolina. We are actually the first organization in the state to provide these preventative screenings. On the college level, in the NCAA, it is also not mandated, but it is recommended. So some schools, like we live by Clemson, some of the more well-funded schools do this. But, my children went to HBCUs. They didn't. South Carolina State actually does provide screenings for their incoming athletes, but I don't think they do it after that one time.
Now you did mention, and I saw it in the video. So predominantly of all of the folks in that video was African American. So it is prominent in the African American community?
It is not. So I think that the producer just was African American herself, and we see that we are underrepresented oftentimes in these stories. You'll never see a face like hers or mine, and so she was very intentional about finding a diverse group. So it happens to children, Black, white, or otherwise, at about the same rate, but African American students disproportionately do not survive. Mm-hmm. So typically, if you're in a higher income area, very affluent area, oftentimes the school might have more AEDs Have more access to athletic trainers, right? Your parents might know CPR or recognize what is going on, so that all of those things contribute to increasing your survival odds. So it doesn't happen to us more often. We just die more often when it happens.
Man, so how do we curb this? This. He says, I mean, is it just because of we don't have anyone trained, or we're just not aware?
I think we're just not aware, for one. Now, I will say hypertrophic cardiomyopathy actually does happen to, that's a condition that African Americans have more often. But that is not the only condition that can cause sudden cardiac arrest. There's a variety of conditions that cause it, but a sudden cardiac arrest essentially is that your heart just stops suddenly with no warning. So it's not a heart attack. The easiest way to explain it is a heart attack is like if you're a builder, right? A heart attack is like a plumbing issue. So
over
but a
time,
card-
clogging your arteries, that kind of.
Mhm. But a cardiac arrest is either a structural issue or an electrical issue.
So tell me a little bit about No Other Life Affected. That's NOLA. That's the acronym for NOLA, No Other Life Affected. So tell me what you all are doing in the organization to bring awareness and to provide screening.
So outside of doing awareness campaigns, we also we provide the actual screening. So we'll go to communities such as Andrews. We try to partner with school districts, but honestly, we had a hard time getting school districts to buy in. It doesn't cost anything to a school district typically. What we do, we charge $20 for screening, and that's just the cost of the equipment and for the interpretation. But we have never once turned a student away for their inability to pay. We fundraise and we do other things to offset the costs so that students, because not having $20 is not worth a child losing their life.
No, absolutely.
So I'm sorry, I looked at that and got distracted. But so we provide the preventative screenings, or the EKG screenings, to students aged 12 to 24. We also provide them for adults as well, but students is really our target population. We teach CPR to students, just hands-on training. It takes 15 minutes to put somebody in front of the dummy and just let them practice, right? Because oftentimes, and we have to think about that, your kids are not always with an adult. And really in South Carolina, all teachers are not trained in CPR. So you don't know who your kids are with at school that could save their lives if this happens. But oftentimes kids are with other children. And so we want to prepare them to be able to respond. So we teach children CPR for free, but we also provide certifications for adults at a very low cost. So we don't charge more than $40 to give you a certification in CPR. And we provide that in Spanish and English as well, because there are disparities within the African American and the Black community. I'm sorry, the Black community and the Hispanic community in our survival rates, because a Black student is 41% less likely to receive CPR. And a Hispanic student is 27% less likely to receive it. So we don't only provide services for those communities, but we understand the barriers within these communities of color that increase our likelihood of not surviving. So
I understand that you said that the school district is not as responsive as you expected.
No, some are not. No, I've been able to go to Florida and get a talk to a school district, and same day they made a recommendation, and it probably took me 2 years to get a school outside of my local area to say yes to letting us come in South Carolina. I think it just wasn't on anybody's radar, and it was just one more thing for them to do until Damar Hamlin had a sudden cardiac arrest on TV, and then schools that we had been begging to let us come started calling us. But it shouldn't have to happen to a famous person or on TV. That young man, thank God that he lived, but he was on a professional team that had 27 man medical team to respond. Who was going to respond at your recreation center or at your middle school or your high school? Those are the kids that we really need to make sure don't have an issue, because most of them are congenital heart defects, and so it's not like they're getting injured during the game, and playing sports is not causing these heart issues. But 1 in 100 kids are born with a heart abnormality or a heart defect, and in 1 in 300, it never gets detected.
Well, then, and I know this is, you mentioned $20, I think, for the screening. It's $40, I guess, for the training.
CPR certification, yeah, but
certification. So how are you funded? I mean, I know this is very important. I think anybody who's watching and saw that video and listening to your story, this is very important. Something we just can't detect by just visually looking at a person. So how are you doing this right now?
How we started off, I was funded it.
You were funding out of pocket.
At first, yes, at first, because I was just a mom who was, listen, I was about to say the wrong word. I was not pleased. My children were my life. I spent 20 years working with children in DJJ and DSS, and know that I had saved kids' lives, and so I was devastated to have lost my own son. Um, and I knew I took my kids didn't miss a doctor's appointment, so when your kids are supposed to be healthy and, big, strong athlete that every school and, across the country is looking at, and then all of a sudden he just drops dead, that was not acceptable to me. So I was angry about it. And but they told me how rare it was. So then I could do nothing but just be angry and sad. And then I found out that's a lie. About one child dies every hour, every day.
Oh, wow.
So that's the whole classroom of kids wiped out every day from this condition. And when you think about it in terms of that, that's not that rare. And so when all you can do a 3 to 5 minute test to ensure that they live, I just thought it's not rocket science. Why aren't we doing it? So we have recently received some state funding, but we were not funded, and I guess that was the question that you asked. But we have a couple of senators that were understood the work we were doing. I think last year there were 8 lives in South Carolina, and I was able to bring that to their attention. There were 8 that I knew of. So there oftentimes some I'll never hear of, because it just happens to be, if it happens in somebody's community and they know who I am and they tag me in an article, and I just happen to find out that way. So the children across South Carolina are passing away. And so when we present those numbers, I mean, this, as elected officials, that's really their obligation, I feel, to ensure that we're protecting these students. So we made the case, and we received some funding from the state, but we also continue to take donations.
Absolutely. So is that now going to be a part of the state's budget, or is that something you have to go back and ask?
No, it was a one-time appropriation. So it's kind of like, here's some money to help you get started and to expand, because we've been providing it in our area. I'm in the upstate, but what about the kids in Andrews, right? What about the kids in Patrick, or all over the state? There are many areas that are Estelle, Abbeville. There are kids everywhere, and they ought to have access to the same service. So that money will help us do that.
I appreciate you bringing me on as one of your board members, and as we discussed offline, I certainly would like to get those resources here and begin that screening. We have some work to do. I'll learn as we go, but we have. I mean, just here in Andrews, there are 2,000 students every day in that 3 public schools, one private school.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So we and the largest in terms of number of kids in the elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe, and I'll talk with the superintendent to see. I know there's a need in my heart of hearts, but I owe it to them to get a better understanding of what the needs are, and preferably we can get those services here and get these kids screened. Again,
you let me know it. I'll be there, and we'll get it done. And truly, it takes 3 to 7 minutes at time. 3 minutes the quickest, 7 minutes the longest. So about 5 minutes it takes us to screen. They get in and out. It's painless. It's non-invasive. If anybody's had a EKG, they just put a couple of stickers across your chest. We even have a different way to do it, where it's just one. The machine it's a portable machine that's about the size of a cell phone, and we are in and out of there, and within 7 days, the parents have the results. And $20 is not a lot for peace of mind. But again, if a child doesn't have $20, we do not turn them away.
That's right.
Yeah, that we will never turn a child away. We think that every student should have access to these services.
And I think for the folks out there listening, I mean, this is pretty serious, and if we can, donate. And I think you're showing the web link out here. Let's try to get this thing over in this side on the in the PD area. And then again, you and I have talked in detail about it. And this is the introduction to our community here through this platform. But I encourage everyone to get involved, ask more questions, go out and Google and get familiar with this sudden cardiac arrest conditions that just taking our kids out. And I didn't know that this is the number one cause of death in our schools.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
And I'll say this too, because you asked something about African American students. The one thing that I will say that in African American students, even if they have symptoms, they are 7 times less likely to be diagnosed. Because oftentimes people will say it's asthma or it's anxiety, because 50% of students, the first symptom is death. Mm. And that really struck me. Like the first sign that anything was wrong is that they collapsed and died. That's unacceptable, which is why we need to be focused on prevention, right? But on the back end, the 50% that have symptoms are, if you're African American male, you're 7 times less likely to even be diagnosed. And so my son Vari was in that. So he had symptoms once. He was playing basketball and collapsed. He was seen by 2 different physicians because I didn't take the word of one. He's playing basketball. He collapsed, went to the doctor. Instead of doing any cardiac workup, they did do a chest x-ray, and then they did a drug test. And then said, oh, well, you passed your toxicology screen, it's clear, so there's nothing wrong with you. You just have anxiety. And so we followed up with another physician because I didn't accept that. I felt like there may have been some, funny business involved with that. Because to be clear, medical racism is a thing, medical bias is a thing. And we followed up, and they told me how rare or how unlikely it would be for it to be an issue with his heart. So let's rule out these other things. He goes back to school and then dies. So if it had not been for that incident and they did an autopsy, we still would not have known what had happened to him. And his left ventricle was double the size it should have been. It was easily detectable had those tests been done. So.
And I heard in some of the stories that others like yourself has experienced, these things were happening, and symptoms were very obvious during practice of some of the games, but it was never communicated from the coaches to the parents. Mm-hmm. And so again, this awareness has to happen. We all need to be aware, and when you see something that looks like out of the ordinary, you need to get it checked out. But again, the screening up front is what we're really trying to push, is the screening up front, so we can know right then whether there's an issue coming.
Mm-hmm. And then you just want to also know CPR and have AEDs. I heard you and the hosts were talking about that. I think in this state, it's the law that I think every school has to have one. But one on campus. But that's not acceptable. If you don't get an AED to that child, have the pads on their chest and shock them in 3 minutes, then their survival rate goes down by 90%. So that's not really acceptable. And I was sitting here texting and trying to contact people when you said y'all don't have an athletic trainer on staff. That's not. We got to do something about that.
Well, for us, we do. Andrews High, we do have. But there was a story released, and Mr. Richardson to come back in here because he reported on this earlier. So we do have a trainer. He's been with the team for years. Great guy too. But there's other schools inside of our district that had one, I think, contracted, and one didn't have one at all. And so tell me a little bit. You said there's some funding of some sort that
Well, there's an organization here in the upstate, but I think they can provide them throughout the state. They're called Play Safe, and they provide athletic trainers to schools that don't have them because I know in my area, our school district doesn't employ athletic trainers. And so it was a group of doctors, and they saw a child have a sudden cardiac arrest and die. And they knew this isn't acceptable. So they formed this organization that they provide athletic trainers for school districts. They are seeking some state funding to help support that, but I think they partner with, you know, local organizations and local hospital systems to kind of help offset the cost. The athletic trainers are expensive, but we spend money on everything else. Why aren't we spending it to save children's lives?
Absolutely. And so I don't think anything is this is where we need to focus our effort.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to make those things available. We need to get the screening done. And so that's one of the things we'll push on this end. And again, with this platform, we're going to scream it loud. And anyone that's out there again, and anyone that will see this afterwards, please, let's get more aware of what, let's get ourselves educated on this problem. And then and not just that, but let's get involved. And so we can get some screening for our children. Mm-hmm. And so, anything you want to wrap up with, Jamal, you want to come back in and talk to us a little bit about your previous podcast and there you go. So they're starting the sports season without athletic trainers. And so that's a problem. Again, the ambulance are not on site, no athletic trainer, and the number one cause of death for high school athletes is a bad combination. So, sir, any insights there, Mr. Jamal?
Well, you passed the test. You can stay on on Tuesday nights. You did a great job.
I didn't know he was going to leave me.
That was awesome. Great information. And that's scary because I'm sitting here and you saying you come from an athletic family and you boys were strapping young men, and for
baby, we know in these parts.
That's Clemson up there. It's Seneca's right there. I had no idea when I went up there, and I said, "That's the school." So I went. Of course, I went out and walked all over the place. But it was
my younger son actually get up for the Bulldogs, but he graduated from South Carolina State. So his claim to fame is he's running back there. So when they beat what was it, Jacksonville State when
Jackson State when Deion was there. Yeah, guess where I'm at right now. In Bulldog country.
Okay, get up for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I went to South Carolina State too. Yeah, I went yesterday and dropped off a family member.
Okay.
Listen, yeah. we love Orangeburg. It's a different kind of hot down there than from my area, but we love Orangeburg. But we athletic, you never would have thought you saw the video. My son, number 50, he was a little bigger and taller than the son's running back, was a little shorter, but we don't have a history of heart issues in our family. So
and
it was not something that we expected.
And it's like I don't know what would you contribute to apprehension from like you said, you're able to go to Florida and speak at different schools before you're being brought in. What do you think the initial apprehension to the program is?
I think that at first some of the things we heard was, well, what is the liability? So they were afraid that you provide a service to a student and then they pass away anyway, and then someone sue the school. My answer to that would be, well, do you know how much it costs if they die and you didn't provide it? Because you're going to get sued either way, and they're going to win either way. To be clear, so you might as well work to save a child's life instead of worrying about this liability. I just thought that was the craziest and most idiotic thing, but that's people think about the bottom line, I guess, the money, when we should be thinking about these children's lives. So that was the first thing. The second thing was, I think that we launched in 2020. So that was the worst time to launch anything, but we didn't know that a worldwide pandemic was going to hit. So in 2020 and 2021, I think the teachers were just overworked, underpaid, and that was one more thing that somebody was going to have to take on. They didn't want to do it. So it was like, oh, great idea, but who's going to put it together? And they were apprehensive about letting an outside agency come onto their campus. And we do try to go to the school. We've done them in the communities, but a lot of kids don't have a ride back somewhere. So you want to catch them while they're at school because then they don't have to get transportation. Because we're all about removing the barrier. If we had it at a community center on the weekend, what about the kids that can't get there? So that's why we would try to do it at schools. But at this point, we do them at schools, but we do them off site as well. But I think that's the only thing that I have because it didn't make sense to me.
And I just want to applaud you for because being a parent and losing a child and not staying in that place, you know what I mean?
Oh, I'm crazy.
Taking that. You have to be, and I'm with you. And like I said, I admire that, and
Thank you.
that's something that I see when parents lose a child to gun violence and then or something like that, and then they just start an organization in that child's name. And so I think that's the way you that's the way to honor a memory, and I think it's commendable, absolutely commendable.
Thank you so much. My children have always made me look good. They were very good boys. Um, and of course, when you're raising young African American men, right? And I was a single mother. People will say that, well, they make you seem like young Black boys are bad. And my children made me look good. They were well spoken. They were athletic. They were handsome too. So, really proud of them. And you think that they're safe and you've made it, and then this comes along. So it definitely did, uh, kind of knock the air out of me. But I thought about him, and I wanted everything I did to make him proud, and I want to know that his life mattered. So we don't do this because he died, but because he lived and who he was, and the heart that he had, and and he paid the price for us not knowing, and we want to make sure that nobody else does. So that's why we're called no other life affected. We don't want this to happen to anybody else, especially when it's prevented. And we can identify 12 different kids in the last 4 years whose lives have been saved because of him.
That's
So so it gives me some purpose, and you got to find something to keep going. So it did help me. So.
Awesome.
Amazing. Hey, two things before we let you go. We know you got a handsome grandson that you love, and
he's so cute. I love it.
And then tell us, a little bit about the your annual event that generally takes place in February, and then we'll let you get some rest because we know you have a long day tomorrow.
Yeah. So you asked me something about the grandson.
Yeah, tell it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, his name is Legend. His name is Legend Air Benson. Air as in HEIR, because we passed the crown. We believe he's going to be a running back too. Those big old thighs. We believe he's going to be a runner. But I love him. He brings me so much joy. I don't know what to say other than he just makes I forgot how happy I could be until I saw that little face. And he is just as cute as he can be. And we've gotten his heart screened, in fact, because we know that these things can be hereditary, and his mother's father and brother actually have defibrillators. Her father had a sudden cardiac arrest. It's not nearly as rare as people say it is. Nobody's just telling anybody, right? And so because we have the history in both families now, he has been screened as an infant. Wow. So, but the event, we call it the Keep the Beat Gala. So I should back up and say we have nothing to do with New Orleans. We're from South Carolina, born and raised, like my whole family. My granny Hattie, in fact, was born in this county in 1899. So we're from South Carolina. My son that passed away was a musician as well, and he wrote a song called NOLA. So because that had meaning for him and his friends, we just made the acronym No Other Life Affected. So that's why we have it. So, but people think that we have something to do with New Orleans, so we just lean into that. And we have a Keep the Beat Masquerade Gala every year. So it's like a Mardi Gras themed event. Um, I've been told it's the best party in the state. I don't know, but but it's well attended. We have a live band. It's a Mardi Gras themed. We have really good, food like low country, I guess, themed food, but New Orleans has similar kind of food as well. And we want you to learn. We come because we want you to learn about the event. We want you to get invested in what we're doing and take away some knowledge, and then we have a good time. Because I say all the time, my son was 21. We're not trying to have this uptight event. It's a celebration of the life that he lived and the lives that we're going to save. So we want you to learn something, take something away. We see people cry and then they up dancing 20 minutes later. But it is a good time. So we hope that you guys are there. It's always the last Saturday in February, because February is Heart Health Awareness Month. It's also Black History Month, and we're a Black-led organization. And it is also the week of Mardi Gras. So
Wow.
So come on down to Clemson, South Carolina, and see us.
And of course, whatever proceeds come out of it keeps you doing what you're doing.
Yes, all of the proceeds go directly to the Keep the Beat project. So again, it's covering the cost for students that don't have money, and it helps us buy our equipment, which is pretty expensive.
And you guys can go right over to www.nola.network.org. And there's a donate button. You can, just go through, look through the site, read through the information. There's a donate button there. You can also email the organization at info@thenolanetwork.org. Yep. And phone number here for the NOLA Network is 864-359-6200.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for having me, Jamal.
Hey, listen, I enjoyed. I was back here chilling, man. I got back. I'm like that. You guys did a great job. I love my well-spoken people. This is what we got to do. We got to platform us. And when you drop that, so this year at the Heritage Festival, I ain't even. I'm gonna drop this on the mayor now. So I'm gonna have my own little booth where I'm gonna have the census records laid out. And that's why I tell people I'm from Andrews, South Carolina. I got my granddaddy, my great granddaddy Jerry Gamble's voting record in 1882. Yeah, his brother was voting in 1882. 24 years old, landowner. So we been ya. We ain't just come ya. We been ya.
I tell people, hey, Mayor McCleary told you I was on city council, and that was one of my things. My my slogan, I'm rooted in this community. I don't know where y'all from, but I'm from here. We from here. We did this.
That's what you got to let them know. You got to say, look, we have been ya, and y'all will come ya.
Yeah, there go your people there shouting out as administrator.
Oh, I love her. We wish we could recruit her to our area, but
whoa. This interview is over.
Yeah.
You got some good staff. We're blessed to
have some good folks here.
Ms. Wilson, real quick, if you know, with the price of vending for the non-food vendor, not a food truck or anything, for Heritage Festival. But yeah, I'm gonna have that set up with my, that Andrews family history, just basically putting the flag down, just letting you know.
When is your festival? I would like to attend.
November 2nd. November 2nd, all day, Main Street. And of course, again, it's linked to the homecoming weekend. Yes, there's Veterans Parade, Halloween. So from Thursday through Saturday, Andrews is going to be lit with people and trying, family oriented events. People out enjoying, great sounds. It's going to be one great time, and it grows every year. I think we had somewhere at 3,000 people, if not more. throughout the town, just enjoying themselves. And so, if you can, it's a good little, good little ride. But of course, you've been to Myrtle Beach, so you have to come by Andrews. So come on down.
Well, listen, this is what we need to do. We need to give that school district when we come down there and screen that weekend, so that I have an excuse to be there. Then I can stay and get to see the great big town of Andrews.
Woo-hoo. Yes, ma'am.
The home of Chris Rock. I'm walking off.
I'm about to play that song, man. You're not from Andrews. What was that? We can't play it on here though. No, it's all good.
So, and I wanted to say this too, because I know some guys that's going to be watching that run AAU programs. Hey, guys, be proactive, right? And I'm gonna put this information up here for you guys again to reach out to this organization. First, you should call, go online. The first thing you need to do is go online and donate. Okay, go online and donate to the organization. All right.
Absolutely.
Again, all proceeds are going to the cause. Okay, nobody's lamping and chilling on this.
Yeah. So if you're listening right now, go ahead and drop your $20 because $20 will get a young athlete.
One kid, it'll take care of one kid. So
come on,
go ahead and handle that. Let's
do that now. Anybody who's listening afterwards, we challenge you to donate $20 more if you can, but $20 will get a young kid screened so they can know what's going on inside their body.
But if you are a AAU basketball coach, summer program basketball coach, and you got access to these kids, be proactive, talk to their parents. I'm sure when you tell them, hey, look, I want to do this to protect your kids, parents will be all for it. And so you see here the email address where you can find out and make that link happen. You see all the information on here. I'll be posting this, this won't be your last trip here, ma'am.
Well, thank you. As you were saying that, for sure, 3 of the kids, the video that you played, and there's a group of moms, 3 of those kids died in AAU games. So, we really try to focus on AAU. And my son was playing a pickup game of basketball when he passed away, but not with an AAU team. But 3 of those kids were playing AAU basketball. They were all, one died in going down the slide. 2 died in their sleep. 1 died at track right after track practice, and all the rest of them died during playing basketball. So,
and Mr. Jamal, if you don't mind running that video again before.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Get that. There it is, right there. Let me cue that up here. I'll step out here.
Because we want them to be, an hour on. Sometimes people like to, so if you're coming on at the end of this show, you'll see this and understand what this
died each year from sudden cardiac arrest. Over 350,000 people die from sudden cardiac arrest is not rare. Over 7,000 youth die each year from sudden cardiac arrest. Over 350,000 people die from sudden cardiac arrest every year, but we don't talk about it.
Before Evelyn died of sudden cardiac arrest, I really knew next to nothing about it.
I never knew anything about sudden cardiac arrest.
I knew nothing about sudden cardiac arrest. I had never heard the term before my son suffered one and died.
I didn't know anything about sudden cardiac arrest, but for my son to pass away from sudden cardiac arrest, I want to know everything.
OJ never really had any symptoms.
My child looked healthy too.
My child looked healthy too.
They think it's not going to happen to them. But until it does happen to you, that's when it becomes your life.
He had an undetected heart condition, and with no warning, he passed away from sudden cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest is not rare.
I remember that woman had just lost her son like that month.
Oh, wow.
And they're talking about it. But you see the picture of the young Caucasian girl. She was going down the water slide.
Yeah. So it's, if this doesn't, and again, every one of them that said they didn't know anything about this. All of the parents didn't know. Here we have an opportunity now to get educated on it and do something about it. So again, we ask folks to donate, become aware, do the research, and let's get our kids screened. It's important. So thank you, ma'am. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Mr. Jamal, your show, sir.
Hey, I look forward to you coming back on. If you got any information, pass it along, and we'll constantly share it. But yeah, let's make this connection here in Georgetown County. And to the folks over in Carver's Bay, where that story about not having a athletic trainer, somebody should be in the mayor's inbox or my inbox here now. You know what I mean? Because she's talking. Mention that organization again, and that's the last thing. I'm sorry.
It's called Play Safe.
And what is their function?
They specifically provide athletic trainers to schools. That I probably have their. We work very closely with them because a lot of times if there is a sudden cardiac arrest, the athletic trainer is who's going to respond. They provide athletic trainers to schools and school districts that don't have them.
And they're based upstate where you are?
They are based in Anderson, South Carolina, but they provide them really in the upstate because a lot of hospital systems do it, but they are. I text her. She said she would love to come down there. They have the ability and the desire to cover every district that does not have one. But Prisma has a lot of their own athletic trainers, so that's why I asked what hospital system you guys were close to. And I believe MUSC provides some athletic trainers too, so I'll look into that for y'all. But they also have them in Georgia. Play Safe is in Georgia as well, so that they could come to they can come to Georgetown County.
Excellent.
We need to make sure these kids are safe. I'm gonna quit talking y'all to death. It was a pleasure to meet y'all. Jamal, I hope that I see you at our gala this year. You have no excuse.
I know, because I got to come. You talking about the Low Country and the New Orleans? I'm gonna have to come and put that official Low Country stamp on there, and then we straighten that out. But I got the theme. I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, come on. We look forward to having you.
That's awesome. Yes, ma'am. And again, it was a pleasure meeting you. Look forward to doing this again.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yeah, man. That's y'all see the man came through with that. I had to step back. I wanted to check that. That was a great interview, sir. You did a great job.
I didn't know you were gonna blank out on me and go away.
Oh man, I was enjoying that. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to sit in the background and just work the board. You know what I mean? But
we certainly want to bring more of that kind of information to our platform here. We talk politics all the time, but that's going to be what it is. It's these kind of things right here, becoming aware of, that's going to make a difference in kids' life. And so, I always tell folks, you talk about the youth or our elderly folks, you have my attention. And so that's where we are. And we'll continue to do that. It's a lot going on outside of our little arena. And we need to bring those conversations to our folks.
Yeah, I think it's a plus that the future superintendent of Georgetown County has an athletic background. So the ear should be, they should be able to get a sit down and at least, be able to present what it is the organization offers and that deal. I'm just kind of speaking it into the existence. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I got my lucky rock right here with me. So
yeah, and it's important. And that's, as they right now go through this process to select the next superintendent, I see a report earlier that they're down from 22 to four candidates, one being Dr. Giles. And, again.
So did they name the other three?
Yeah, they have them actually now on the school district's website. Okay. I think I sent you that link. You take a look at it, you'll see they have the picture and the resume of each of those candidates. And the thing that, when this transition began back when Mr. Price left, a lot of folks spoke out, hey, Dr. Giles is that person. And if you look at the credentials and not just that, just the experience, everyone else has moved around, and I go, and that's not uncommon for people looking, to move to the top. You're going to have to relocate. But Dr. Giles was born and raised in this town, and born and raised through the school district system, from in the classroom all the way up to where her current position as now the interim superintendent. And I think that's important. We know if we don't have any continuity, you lose something along the way. And in this current environment, we need to have something that's consistency in our school system, that they can be shaped and establish a great environment for our kids to learn. And I think that starts at the top with someone who's very familiar with our county. And so folks look at it, and again, stay informed, take a look at this, and make sure we get involved to whatever level that is. But there it is.
There it is right there. Of course, Dr. Bethany Giles, currently serving as that in the interim. And we got Mr. Gregory Hill is currently off the top. Let me see what already caught. I'm just skimming across and tell you what catches my attention real fast. Let's see. Okay, she's the only one with a PhD. All right, let's start there. Is currently the assistant school superintendent, secondary school in Florence. You can stay in Florence. We don't need you here. Dr. Glenda Sheffield currently is the chief academic school in Palm Beach City. Oh no, sweet. You can go and stay in Florida. You try to get up into Myrtle Beach, you think you slick. Not through Georgetown. I'm sorry, Miss Dr. Glenda Sheffield. Let's see. And I thought Sheffield, I was like, okay, she got some connection to the Georgetown area, but no. Another come yet.
No, the closest is the one from Sumter. But again, if you look at, and again, if you have the skills, your talent, you're gonna move up. But again, and move around. That has not been the case with Dr. Giles.
Yeah, this lady here got, let's see, she's been in McCormick for 2 years. Let's see, he was a superintendent for 2 years. He got a 2-year plan. We need well, he did 3 years at Harnett High School, and then 3 years at some other middle school. No, brother, he a gypsy. Nah, we good. Dr. Giles is and I believe, again, let me as a matter of fact, let me put this back up here, because now that I didn't see these candidates, because I was being fair, and I was waiting to see what it was, and then people were like, we don't even know me. No, I don't. And let me get this thing up here real fast for you, the people of Andrews and Georgetown County, especially to reach out to your elected officials and let them know that you are in support of Dr. Bethany Giles. Now, who do you need to reach out to? I'm looking for those guys and gals right now. The names. Let's see what I got here. I know this guy's still on there. Bill Gaskin's still on there, right?
He's a chairman of the board.
Okay, so Mr. Gaskins. Salute to Mr. Gaskins' family. I think it's his wife family.
Parsons family.
Parsons. Yeah, they
doing great work in the area. In fact, they were the foundation also supported Teach My People, which is the new program now at the Andrews Elementary. And so that family is doing great stuff. They were also
vital. Yeah.
Here in the town of Andrews, and it was grateful for their contributions to both those programs.
All right, well, that's not it.
And then the way this thing works, they'll get interviewed. They'll have a committee that do an interview with these applicants, and then but the ultimate decisions are going to be up to the school board. And you're right in saying, you know, that's who you should reach out to.
Reach out to the members. You know what I mean? Let them know. Hey, if I mean, you don't have to say it like I'm saying it. Okay, just get the gist of what I'm saying. You know, if you don't vote for who we want, if I find out you vote against us, we get rid of you. That's my approach. That's about as nice as I get it. Okay, I'm with you. Now we need you to be with us. And the people have spoken. I think I found it here now. Yeah, this is it. All right, this is who we want right here, Dr. Giles.
Yep.
All right, and
it's not
here
just
are the numbers.
She's local, but she's qualified.
She's qualified. The local is just that's a cherry on top.
Yeah,
she's qualified. Kathy Anderson, at-large representative. Reach out to her at 843-344-6950. Robert Cox, 843-833-2834. Pat Hamill, District 1 representative.
And, you know, also those, many of those seats are up. They'll be on the ballot here come November.
Oh, so you better give them a call and they better vote how we want.
District 3 and District 5. I don't know if District 5 have, if there's opposition there, but
have they filed? Do we know?
Yes, they have already.
So I haven't go look at that filing list.
District 5 is not running, so Mr. Gaskin is not running again. He's moving out of the area, so that seat is
vacant. And question is, again, I'm gonna look at the list, but do you know if there's any candidates vying for that position?
Yes, I know one. I've spoken with one of the candidate, and very impressive person. I encourage everybody to go out and get to know these candidates. Ms. Johnson is filed. She's gonna she's seeking re-election. Tim Chris, what's going on, buddy? She understands the community and yes, sir. She's homegrown. That's my old. He was a sergeant major, and I was a lieutenant colonel in our ROTC program back at Benedict. Good people right there. Good to see you, Tim. But yeah, so those, and I don't know about the other seats, but 3 and 5 certainly impacts Andrews.
There you go. And if you're running for one of those district seats, I invite you to welcome to Andrews Podcast. If you're watching, you can just hit the inbox and just come on and we can talk about it. You know what I mean? And that's all it is, because what we do over here is just bring the information to the people. We want to bring the candidates to the people. We want candidates that are for the people, that are responsive to the people's needs. And if you're not that kind of candidate, we will get rid of your ass. And that's just how I feel about it. You about it. Like, we're not, no. You know, all right, what we got? 3 and 2, Johnson seeking District 3. We need to make sure Sandra Johnson is the candidate elected.
All right, looks like an endorsement. Sandra
better bring her behind the Welcome to Andrews Podcast. Keep sleeping now. Oh, listen,
this is the route too.
Hey, better come on through now. They listen. They try to keep me out the door. They listen. They ooh, boy, y'all. Let me tell you something. When I first started this here, go to that courtroom, boy, listen. If looks could kill, they would have me on a tree in Lambertown. Then y'all have a reason to really be upset with that tree. But yeah, they and let me say this here too, Circa, while I'm kind of freestyling a little bit here.
Yes,
I need you guys to pay attention to this organization that calls themselves Andrews News, right? And be careful over there, because it has nothing to do with the news, right? It makes no sense that this organization calls itself a news organization and doesn't do something as simple as cover the town hall meeting. And you got the editor-in-chief or the owner of the site at the meetings. But you got citizens, and I don't mind, hey, what happened at the meeting? You know what I mean? I don't mind. I just can't make it to all of them. Now, if you decide you want to buy some stars, and shout out to everybody that buys stars. That's gonna include Jerry. That's everybody. I ain't even gonna start all the names, okay? But I know Marcus Pope tonight. He's the sponsor of this show right here.
He's on tonight.
Oh man, he dropped 500 stars on me tonight. I said, yeah, this show is called the Marcus Pope Show tonight. He is the executive producer. But I say all that to say that, I'm working it to where, because I do have a job, and I'm working it to where I can get to be able to get more of this information, so I can be more. I can, aside from doing the podcast, we can bring you some more news information, not just grab a story and print it. We want to give you some context. We want to do some follow-up stories, and some real writing. You know what I mean? So just hang in there with us. But in the meantime, you can come to Welcome to Andrews podcast, or what you could do if you're looking for the Town of Andrews news. The Town of Andrews has a website, and they also have an app that you can go to the Google Play or the iPhone store and download that app. And they are up to date on their information. It's not outdated, So make sure you go and do that, please.
Excellent. Hey, this last couple things before I guess we get off here. We are planning to have a 9/11 Patriots Day program. So we're putting that together now. We should have something out hopefully by the end of the week. We reached out to some of the other first responders, and again, that we want everyone to come and be a part of it, but we certainly want to recognize the sacrifices of those first responders back in 9/11. And so we're going to do that, try to get a little more consistent with that program. And then for our local folks, trash collection has been delayed, start again on Thursday to make sure that those who are waiting will come into you. So it'll be Thursday, the 22nd, to continue the route and close out on Friday. Do you need to have a business license to vendor? Not for the
Heritage Festival.
Heritage Festival.
Got to pay that $150. That's a business license.
Yep.
So
here's the deal. Now we really got to push, because we've been doing this now for several years, and we can't get any of our.
I'm getting in the rib competition. I talked to my Uncle Michael the other day. We gonna be from Andrews. We taking one of the trophies. Done.
I mean, the judges are, no affiliation with the town, and we try to get someone that is out, to come in and so if they want Mr. Elliott Middleton to continue to win this thing, he's won it twice.
God, back to back, guys. And he got good food now.
He's got good food. It's not
as many people that's got grills popped open every Friday and Saturday in Andrews, South Carolina. For somebody for Andrews not to have win that, cut it out, man. How you calling yourself a top chef in Andrews and you ain't won the rib cook off yet?
$750.
How much is to get into that?
Hopefully the administrator's up there. I don't want to miss. Okay, but it's minimal, and we give you the meat, the whole 9 yards. You get all of that just for, I think it's either $250. I don't know what it was. I'd be misquoted.
What's the first prize?
So, if she's still out there, she'll. If not, we'll have it up here. But it's been up to $1,500 at one a year, and $1,000, $750. But it's everyone we want first through third place, and the lowest amount was $300. Still more than what you invested. And
you know what I mean?
And no one wants to come out. I don't know if it's stage fright.
Don't worry, I'll be there this year. We doing rib testings. Next time Mike back in town, we're gonna try a couple different recipes and settle on one. And Village Barbecue, we coming for the title, dog. I'm just going ahead and let you know right now. I'm gonna let you know right now. We coming for the title.
I
see dead people.
That's what's up. So yeah, we just want people to come out and have a good time. I think, again, family oriented stuff. And, also on the west side of the festival block party is another live band that is sponsored by, a community. So you got 2 live bands, things for kids, food trucks from everywhere. And it's just a great time. We ask everybody to come on out and have a great time. And, of course, the tailgate is entry fee.
$150.
That's what I thought.
$150. Boy, that's $850 come up right there. And they provide you the meat.
Got to get over the stage fright.
That's a link right there. Ooh.
Yeah, we be able to share. Hey, Nee, you make stuff done. Slow cook it, whatever you want to do, but don't be afraid. Come on out.
Golly. You can't. I mean, if it's 3 people winning the competition, you're gonna win something. Come on.
Had that.
That's what I'm saying. Don't worry. We'll be into this year here. We'll be into this year here. I'm gonna find
all you grill masters.
I'm about to find one of Jeannie Rivers' old recipes from the shop.
Yeah, that's when Rivers Calf, Flame, all these folks. I know that the kids have to have those recipes somewhere to come on out and compete. So let's do this.
Absolutely. Anyway, man, listen, great show tonight. I'm gonna put this up again, guys. I learned a lot. I learned something tonight. Now that's the main takeaway from tonight is I learned this, and it's crazy how frequently it happens. With the sudden cardiac syndrome,
cardiac arrest.
Yeah, sudden cardiac arrest, and so I greatly appreciate Dr. Benson for coming on. Look forward to having her on again. Let's see.
Next Friday night, opening game, high school.
Yep. Andrews versus Georgetown, the rivalry. I need this. I shouldn't have to say this, but let's be on our best behavior. Okay.
There you go. That's a lot of money for $150, huh?
Hey man, listen, you can't lose. 3rd place, you double your money.
Where do you get that at?
Yeah, I'm in there this year. Yeah. We're gonna get that fee. I need about 2 booths. I need two booths. I want a booth on one end of the street, a booth on the other end of the street, and I'm getting in the rib cook-off.
We might throw the Perlo in there. I don't know.
I don't know. That might bring them out. That might bring them out right there now. That might bring them out.
We got folks who bake. It's a lot. We're thinking through that, but definitely it's going to be the.
If you say bacon,
I know.
If Miss Gibson ain't in there, I'm gonna take that high school kid against whoever you got. You bring your grandma. I got a kid he ain't high school no more. He in college. Your college football player. He outbake your grandma right now.
Yeah, he's pretty good. So that's what's happening. Hey, I appreciate the time, man. And again, for Dr. Benson, we appreciate her time and more so the bringing awareness to this sudden cardiac arrest.
If you have a nonprofit and you're sitting here watching this and you think, man, I should be on this show, it's only your fault that you didn't reach out to us. Please reach out to us. If you got some information for the community, do not die with knowledge. How about that? Get with us. You can get on here and do what you need to do. Okay. So if you think there's somebody that we should talk to, give me their name. We'll reach out to them. Because this platform is about you guys. It's about you guys. It's about bringing this information to you all. All right. As a matter of fact, Jerry Davis, we need you to pop back in here.
Yeah, okay. She's sponsoring the pageant here the 28th of September. So she better come on and promote this pageant.
Man, that kind of Jerry. Next Tuesday you're on. Okay, go ahead and book that. 8:30. You know the time. You know the place. Okay, Black Diamond Princess. We're gonna be talking about the the gala coming up, right? Ticket prices. What's the ticket price? Listen, I need that information. Let me see if I can find something on your page here.
And the YMCA is having its grand opening and / back to school event this Saturday. I think it's 10 to 2. I'll have to confirm. I believe that's what it is. I'll get the times wrong, but it's going to be, between Morgan and Rosemary. That portion of the town will be blocked off for this event, and we ask people to come on out and support that, because this is a great program for our young men in the community. So if you see Mr. Brian Gary or anyone from the YMCA, you can get more information. But it's this coming Saturday, the 24th, and there should be some flyers out there that kind of speaks to that. So glad you mentioned that. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, this flyer I just see here just kind of threw me for a loop here. It ain't hers, but I see the face on it. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? But I ain't even gonna go down that road right now. I ain't going down that dark road with darkness, with Mr. Darkness.
We'll cover that on the next one.
But yeah, man, great show tonight. I appreciate it. If that's all you got, let me see what Mr. Chris got here. Appreciate that. Great information. Subject. I wasn't aware. Man, McClary knows.
Yeah, great man.
Live in Dallas, Georgia.
Yep, great man, Tim Chris.
No doubt. All right, but yeah, that's all I got, guys. You know what it is. Next Tuesday we'll be back, with more information. Oh,
here we go.
Yeah, my bad.
What's up?
By popular demand, okay, we're gonna have Jerry Davis on, but we also gonna have
Mayor Pro Tem
Eddie Lee, Mayor Pro Tem. Let me tell y'all something. If you want to know what a councilman is supposed to look like, go check that video out with him. Information, dates, right and exact. And let me tell you something else that you didn't catch, right? Because I threw a curve at him. You know what I mean? Because I'm a savvy reporter when I want to be. But you can't catch him off guard. This guy knows his place. You feel what I'm saying? After we did the part that we were there for, I asked him a couple questions on some different things. He always deferred to leadership. Okay, he didn't step out of his pay grade, so to speak. You know what I mean? And that's the sign of a great leader. Somebody that can that. So yeah, it was. That's how you do your job as a counselor. He is the model of what a council person's supposed to be. Now, I do understand that you got council people that are retired. I mean, that are still working and doing different things. I understand that, but yeah, this guy is.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he's great to have on the team. And again, we're talking about Mr. Eddie Lee, our Mayor Pro Tem for the town of Andrews, works tirelessly. I'm telling you, he's always where he needs to be, where the problem is, to get it fixed. Always. Regardless of the time of day or the day of the week, he's there. So, again, great interview the two of you had. And I also encourage people to go listen to that because it's very informative. Mm-hmm. And if you want the truth, speak to Eddie Lee.
Yeah, and like I say, that lays the foundation for the question, because now we can get now that I have these dates, now we can kind of get a little bit more specific about what happened at these meetings. You know what I mean? Because it's interesting, like I said, to hear one of the parts of the interview that stood out to me was I don't know if it was almost intentional to keep just kicking the ball down the road. Now, also what you have to put to put this in context, right? This drainage thing that we're talking about from 2015, that's on the heels of the 1,000-year flood. So where was the sense of urgency? Like, okay, well, you know what? Let's be prepared in case, you know. And I guess they figured we had another 1,000 years. I guess that answers itself. So and here it is. Debbie came and you know and but that's the most striking part, is how long they kept kicking us down the road.
Yeah, so we have some work. What we're doing now is trying to get, it's not a summit, but I want to get in SCDOT, the county's public works director, and our team, so we can again review the responsibility for these things and get on some kind of a schedule that they can keep these ditches and drains clean so this water can move out. Now, granted, you're talking 10 to 15 inches of rain falling down, in a short period of time. That's going to overwhelm most systems. Certainly, if the system is not clean and free of debris, it's a wrap. And so everybody on the low end, obviously, water goes where the lowest point in the area, and so those folks are going to be affected. We have to find a solution that we don't be affected by the just an average rain, which it happens even when we don't have 10 to 15 inches.
But Mayor, this is again what that interview for me highlighted is the fact that in my research I found flood photos from 1928. This ain't no new problem in Andrews, South Carolina.
No, it's not.
So that's what I'm saying. It's just like there's never been, again, the mayor pro tem pointed out, some documents from the 1960s and them talking about this problem. I found again photos from 1928,
Yeah.
where the town was flooded. So this has been a ongoing issue where the county, the county and the state, because that's who control these ditches, just refuse to do anything. At this point, this is what because I make jokes about all these super woke people, but this sounds like environmental racism. Now, that's a stretch for coming from me, but I just thought about it. Like, you know what I mean? Why else wouldn't you do? I mean, this ain't nothing new, and they get money for everything else.
Our state has a lot, and again, the roads in South Carolina belongs to the South Carolina Department of Transportation, and the ditches and the sidewalks. So it's time for another conversation, and as folks will see when they listen to the pro tem's interview, there were contact points throughout for the last 9 years from this current administration about these issues, and they're still unresolved. So we're going to go back to the table. And with that in mind, Mr. Anthony Bone, who reached out to me during this thing and said, "Hey, I want to help. I've got the equipment." And as I told him then, it's areas along this route or this drainage thing that I don't have jurisdiction over. But through his efforts coordinating with those business owners, and he got in there and unclogged this thing and really relieved the flooding on the south end of town and in other areas that drain out south. So again, we recognized him at the last council meeting as one of our shining stars, and just a great guy, great family, and he came through at the right time and really made a difference down there. And he's also offered up his time and resources if we need his help. So he'll be at the table, and we just want to get folks out and get them active, and then have a maintenance program that's going to address these things along the way, and not when we have one of these tropical storms come through. So again, appreciate everything, man. But that's where we are. It's a big deal, and I think we can take up an entire podcast time on that, and we should. But just know that we are bringing in the players, or we're going to invite them in, and hopefully they'll show up at the table so we can get this thing sorted out, and then see what the plan is. And that's what we've been trying to do for the last 9 years.
Yeah, and again, they're not accustomed, or they wasn't accustomed to that. I see. I have faith that the next moving forward, they're beginning to realize, like, okay, that little engine over there, it still got some fight in it, and we'd best, but yeah, moving forward, we got to change the relationship with Georgetown County and Andrews, on a number of different topics,
That's right.
and again, it's just, and most of them surround health and safety.
Absolutely.
Just quality of living.
And the thing is it's not, and that's every town and city in this state, is that somebody outside of the municipality has a responsibility for these infrastructures. So just come do your part, and I'm sure that, like us, we're doing our best to get, take care of our end, but we need them who is also funded through people's tax dollars to do these things. So when you're telling me you have billions of dollars, or whatever the case may be, in the South Carolina Department of Transportation, Andrews and the other 271 municipalities should get their fair share.
Hell, they found 66 million to build a jail that they don't even keep people locked up in. I mean, like, it's all right. We get to that point right now. Anyway, again, thank you guys. Make sure you share this out. I'm gonna get this thing clipped out and back out as soon as possible. But y'all have a good night. Thank y'all.